time at all. So in the past few days, we saw some activities spiking in respect of the advocacy to have the Yoruba nation liberated from Nigeria. So we saw a presentation of petition by Chief Sunday Adeyemoye Sunday Igboho at 10 Downing Street, and people are wondering what's up this time. Can you bring us up to speed so far since the advocacy started? Where are we now? Where is the movement at this point? What are the achievements so far? And what is the content, if you may disclose, of the petition to the UK Prime Minister?
Let's go this way. The content won't be necessary to be disclosed because I don't even know, what is in the content. That is confidential, and I don't expect anyone to, to tap the brain of those of us that are behind, the scene of this movement to want to know the content. I think what is most important is why is the content or the letter, or some have called it a petition, generating conversation and discussion around the world. We're gonna come back to that, but first and foremost, let me bring you up to date, because that was the question you asked. You wanted to know where we are. I remember, if I'm probably right, I think I was on your program some few years back, and a lot has happened in the last 2 years. Whether the last time I was with you, Chief was still in Benin Republic, but where we are right now is that the movement, as many people thought, died down, especially after the election that took place in Nigeria. We all know that it was a divided election because those that are Yorubas believe that we were working against the Emilio Khan agenda of President Bola Tinubu. So that literally means that there's a bit of conflict, especially when people are not asking why has a letter been delivered to United Kingdom, and I'll be telling you in reverse why the presidential candidate and Peter Obi that came to UK the same number 10 Downing Street. But where we are is that we had a lot of infiltration in the movement, and we were already prepared for that. We had someone that came into the movement and gave herself as another beacon of hope. But we now realize that and I'm talking with fact and evidence here, that she was working for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu agenda. And I'm talking about Dupe Onitiri, that we thought was part of this particular hope for the 60 million plus Yorubas at home and in the diaspora that wanted to have the right to self-determination. So that created a lot of friction, because along the line, she went ahead and did what they called, a fake declaration. You don't declare a country that no other countries recognize. That is number one. You don't declare a country where you don't even have access to control your own resources. You don't declare a country where you cannot even manage, the local government as well. So, in as much as what we saw in Ibadan at the Secretariat was part of the agenda, by Tinubu himself, and I'm speaking with fact and figures here, because we know that this is not the first time that he has done so, because a lot of evidence are put onto that. So where are we? And what has happened is that many people expect Igboho to be out there, as a destructive individual. But what they did not realize is that Igboho and Babakitoye, Igboho, many people say doesn't, speak English. Igboho that doesn't even have, the capacity, to take the Yoruba people, to the beacon of where we believe we should be. Let me take you back to 1957. In 1957, Baba Olawa was not even 40 years old when he was fighting for the independence of Nigeria. And this is the same UK where Baba Olawa was having that discussion, not in Nigeria. As much as whatever discussion was taking place in Nigeria, the bulk of the conversation that led to the independence of Nigeria in 1960 all took place just about, I'm not in London right now, I'm in Manchester, I'm sure you're aware that, but that took place in Lancaster House in 1957, 1958, that led to we, as at the time, under Baba Olawa, to go and campaign for election in 1960, but we know what happened after the election, because as we have evidence that that election was rigged. So when we are now where we are right now, which I'm sure you still want to ask more questions, and I'll give you more time to do that because, like I said to you, I will be available for 60 minutes because of my time constraint. Many Yorubas that are in love with the current state of Nigeria would definitely be against whatever we are doing or whatever we are saying. But what we need to first remind ourselves is we were Yorubas before Nigeria, and we will remain Yorubas before Nigeria would. I mean, after Nigeria will eventually, deamalgamate, because you cannot expect any progress in Yoruba land today. I mean, I've seen you, Shegun, many times going on those high road and moaning and complaining. I wish that I could do the same thing in the UK, but it's a complete different thing entirely. I will leave it for now, but where we are is that the movement never died, but in any movement, we must expect all kind of attack. And the attack that came through was from the government of President Bola Tinubu before he became the president, to make sure that they can derail, not just derail, to also bring many of our media platforms as much as they can, but that failed. Buhari did this. Let me take you back to when Buhari was in power. People like myself, were attacked, media-wise, because they believed that what we were doing was against their own agenda. But the question is, where is Buhari today? Where is Lai Mohammed? Lai Mohammed was telling lies, each time he fly down to UK that the country was working. But today, overcome them, and we will also overcome the current administration.
Thank you so much. That's copious. I just want to quickly take you back because there's a bit of confusion somewhere. And the confusion is arising from how you believe that Mrs. Dupe Onitiri was an infiltration, or somebody was planted like a mole by. If you said she was a mole merely, it would be understandable. But to accuse President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of being the one who planted her as a mole spikes a little bit of controversy, and the reason is this. There's a video of you and Oloye Sunday-Igboho sometime when the advocacy started really big, and Oloye Sunday-Igboho was suggesting that people should stop speaking against Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that he would be a very good candidate for president in Yoruba nation, that they want him, is their leader and all that. So people believed that there probably would have been some consultation between Oloye Igboho and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that he probably was even working for his own ticket at the time. So for you to now say Asiwaju,
let me address that particular gray area. I think what many people need to understand is that first and foremost, Tinubu is a Yoruba man, and whether it will be, the president of Nigeria, or whether even Abatoye said it himself, that it would have been better for him, to leave whatever his ambition, to become the Nigerian president, that nothing was going to come out of it. And we can see it in 1 year. It has been a very ridiculous government in terms of inflation and everything. But this motion, this, discussion that goes around the world that Igboho is working, or there's an agenda of Igboho communicating with Tinubu. I can tell you that my principle till date, I've never had any discussion behind the closed door, outside, with President Bola Tinubu, whether before he became the president or not. I was in Nigeria in 2021, and I met Alaafin, the late Alaafin, and I know what he said regarding Tinubu himself. So when people come out and say that, there's this agenda that we are working for Tinubu, even I've had a lot of discussion that, we are already preparing the 2027 agenda for Tinubu. The question is, what happened after Tinubu leaves office? Because Tinubu would probably have 8 years like Buhari, but the Yoruba people will still be, dipped into more problem, because we're talking about problem that have been in existence for a very long time. The Fulani issues that they were never part of Nigeria has been an issue that have been with us. So it is not the agenda about Tinubu now. We're talking about, the Yoruba people that have been kept in darkness. And what we've done is Igboho has come into the light of many Yoruba people to say, look, the reason why you're suffering is nothing before that the life of you will not be far better. You will remain who you are, because as the indigenous people, we can pull out of Nigeria, which was amalgamated, which needs to be de-amalgamated. So let's put this clear very well. Igboho doesn't have any communication. Igboho doesn't have any business with Tinubu. Yes, I have said it so many times. I don't hate Tinubu, and I don't have any reason, why I should hate him. I don't even pray for his death. But what we know is that Tinubu himself, during his exile, right here in the UK in Milton Keynes, stated it that he does not believe in one Nigeria. So what changed, within that space of time that he came back to become the governor of Lagos State in 1999? Tinubu has only 8 years. The Yoruba will still be in existence even after Tinubu will pass on, probably maybe when he's 160 years old, which I know that the Yoruba have been in existence for 13,000 years. Let's go back to where you came up to say, how do we have the information that Duke Bonitiri was working for Tinubu? Like I said, I don't have to give you all the evidence right here, but we have the evidence. It's confidential, but as many people know that there is nothing like Yoruba country right now today, and we saw all the shenanigans that she put through during the secretariat that many people still believe. I mean, I wonder why the diaspora that we thought are well educated still think that Tinubu, Duke Bonitiri has given them a country. But like I said, Tinubu, I can categorically say, with Onitiri are working in conjunction to derail what Babakitoye had to put forward. And there is a lot of evidence. I can take you back to the Deco era where Tinubu infiltrated the group itself. Tinubu has always, and we continue to infiltrate groups for his own selfish interest. I understand you are in Nigeria, and there's little that you can say to that. I am not scared of Tinubu. If Tinubu think that what I'm saying is probably an allegation against him, well, there's enough money with his hand to put me to the court of law in the UK.
Thank you so much. Before I come back to you, Mr. Koiki, please, if you're watching and you have any specific questions, kindly drop it in the comments so that you can pass it to him. If you have any question that you feel I have not touched or asked. So, Mr. Koiki, you said something that is of interest, but I want to put it this way. How soon are you looking at? There was supposed to be a declaration as of the time Onitiri was still in the part of the movement. We were expecting the declaration.
Okay, there was nothing called declaration. I'm not sure where you're picking the news from. Maybe again from the Duke Bonitiri version. Babakitoye at no point, and I want you to show me the evidence, said that there will be a declaration. What Babakitoye said that we will hold on to our towns and cities across the 119 local government, if I'm still right with my numbers, that we hold in the southwest part. And that means that we'll force the government to come into a roundtable discussion with us to our right to self-determination. The expectation of many people when we started, especially with my kind of utterances, is that myself and Igboho would not allow the election to hold. And like I said, there was a lot of security, threat to our lives. There was a lot of reason why people think that we were coming back, to make a kind of destructions of lives and property. But we saw the election, we saw the shenanigans, we saw how many innocent Nigerians were not even allowed to vote. Even the Yorubas that were living in the southwest were intimidated. Shegun, you were in Nigeria, you saw the election, but the question is, their belief was that we had something in place to destroy or bring chaos. But the question is, who are we fighting for? We are fighting for the layman that are angry. We are fighting for the layman that do not understand between the left and the right. And what do I mean by that? The layman that doesn't understand that the British entity called Nigeria, it does not matter. I work with the Nigerian community for 10 years. If you go back and ask Abike Dabiri, if you go back and ask, Lalong, if you go back and ask many of your governors, I was within the Nigerian community with many ambassadors. I've lived here for 25 years. So when it comes to the Nigerian community, there's nothing anyone can tell me about Nigerian community because I serve that community. But the question is, should I leave a Yoruba indigenous person and then say I want to save Nigeria? I don't have to save Nigeria. My fight now is to take my people out of what the British created, which is called Nigeria.
So I was going to ask how soon you project for this.
Well, you can't give a timeline to a declaration.
President or after he leaves office.
Well, you can't give a timeline to a declaration or when all this is going to happen. Let me take you back to history a little bit. If you make a declaration, even right now, Tinubu has every right to use all the force within his power, to bring it against the people that are agitating. So what we are doing, is also strategy, because if you declare like East Timor did in 1975, the Indonesian government then went in and massacred nothing less than 180,000 people. That fight took another 30 years. But then what we expect Tinubu to be doing, should be calling us to the round table and ask what we want. But Tinubu thinks that, he owns everyone. He doesn't own everyone. There could be intimidation there. There could be intimidation there. It is two ways. The two ways is we go through the Soviet Union route, which means that we can dissolve Nigeria and everybody go their separate ways. Or it will go through the Milosevic route, which is the Yugoslavia, and that means that there's going to be, streams of blood. Who wants blood in 2024? Shegun, across the world today is a very, very chaotic world that we are living. Go to Palestinian, about 42,000 people have died. Go to Ukraine, go to Sudan. There's a lot of war going on around the world. Does this government want another war in Nigeria? The question should be no. That is why they are shaking, because nobody knows where we are right now, especially as Igboho, on the behalf of Babakitoye, delivered the letter. And I will be coming to that letter issue in just about a few minutes. But for now, we cannot say the declaration will come today or it will come tomorrow. What we are still doing is what are called engagement, diplomacy, diplomatic, but all options are on the table.
Allow you address a gray area also. I think there was a time, and if I remember, two persons particularly among the front liners in the online support, including even mobilizing for funds. At the time, maybe perhaps is also one of the reasons there was some kind of slowdown eventually. Some of them came out to say that, oh, the movement is a scam. They were only using it to generate funds, and it caused a lot of disbelief for the audience, for the Yoruba Nation advocacy at the time. I mean, if I remember very well, there was a Madam Maureen Badejo, and later your close person who was also a chief mobilizer for funds, Mayegun Diary Political. Well, can you just touch on it, clear it? What actually happened? Because it discouraged a lot of people at some point.
Let me first address the issue of Maureen Badejo, because I was in Nigeria in 2021 when she called and wanted authorization from myself through Igboho to allow her to raise fund. Look, Shegun, I am not a legal immigrant. I could have raised that fund myself if I wanted to. I could have created a GoFundMe. GoFundMe is the most easiest thing to do. And with my personality, with Igboho, that would have generated, even a lot of people came back and said, why did you even give it to her? Because she was a controversial person online based on what she was touching, which has got to do with religion. But that was not the issue. I believe that we were all just one individual that wanted the progress. When she raised that fund, then she came back, wanted to now give us another little fund from another money that she said she was raising to support the security. The question is, the real fund that she had, that she said that we had access to, I didn't have access to the fund. I don't have access to the email. If anybody raised a fund through GoFundMe, you need to have access to the email. The question you should ask her is, do I have access to the email that brings the report of what is coming in and what is coming out? I don't have access to the signatory. She has access to everything. What she wanted to do, let me give you what she wanted to do. She wanted to turn the fund to, I will give Igboho a certain amount of money. And that means that Igboho will then use that. And then if we need another money, we will come. Let me state it clearly. Even with Mayegun Diary, Mayegun could not, and I say it live here, you can watch this program, it would dare not have started any GoFundMe without me giving him the authorization through my principal, Sunday Igboho. Just the same way Maureen did. Maureen did the same thing, raised fund. And at the end of the day, the question is, none of them can come out and say that we wanted, myself wanted a percentage out of the fund that they were raising. A lot of Yoruba people were not even comfortable with these two individuals because they were completely not involved in Yoruba Nation. And we have people that were fully 100% in Yoruba Nation that could have raised the fund. But let me say something, fund is always needed. Even the politicians need fund to run their campaign. American election is coming next month. Without fund, I remember when Kamala Harris was nominated rather, to become the presidential aspirant for the Democrat. Within the space of hours, funds were raised because they needed that fund to run the project. The same thing with Donald Trump. So if anyone is coming out and say, oh, the funding for Yoruba Nation has been scammed, a lot of allegations came on my name that, I was using the Yoruba Nation fund to, to even marry wives, to buy cars. And I said, look, if you find any property that I bought it in Nigeria, just take it and use it for your own personal use. But one thing is, let me state it clearly, like I'm always stated it in my program. I was born with silver spoon. And I will say it again, my dad is Alhaji Mojeed Omotayo Koiki, well known by Ebenezer Obey. Ebenezer Obey is still around. And there's a music that my dad, Obey did for my dad called Constant Star. And that is exactly what I've emulated. When it take badara látọ̀dọ̀ olórí ẹgbẹ́ ni bẹ́ẹ̀ni kan kó mọ kájọ máa kó bẹ́ẹ̀ni kan ṣẹ̀yẹ kábà ṣẹ̀yẹ. I have put my life on this. And I'm not joking. What reason I came back in Nigeria in 2021 was because I have lived there, I've seen the difference, and I know that the only option is to pull out. When people talk about funding, we're talking about people that have never tasted wealth. Just like Igboho was saying yesterday, he flew in 2016, the most flew business class person in the whole of Africa, if not the world, because he traveled twice a month on business class. I went to a private primary school, which is still right there, Onward Northern Primary School. I went to Abeka Grammar School, which Soyinka went as well. So when people talk about money, these are people that have never tasted wealth in their life. I have lived here before Yoruba Nation started. My mom lives there, so even if I wanted to be sending money to my mom, it's not the issue. But we have people that thought that the Yoruba Nation was an opportunity, to grab and hold. Yes, there were a few people that did that. But when it comes to me, what I can say is that, yes, we had donation, it's voluntary donation. I'm sure you do get voluntary donation as well. So if it's voluntary for you, it is for your own personal use. But for every dime that was asked to be used for the purpose of the movement that came through me, were used. But what people wanted to know is, were you buying ammunition? We never bought any ammunition with any money. What we did was we did flyers, we did campaign, we did flags, we did, everything that anyone out there could be hearing Yoruba Nation. And just look at it. The Ifelodun Apapo worked tirelessly with myself and the Yoruba Self-Determination Movement, and look at the result of one bullet. We have given Nigerian government one bullet. We have not even released the rest of the bullet. And everyone out there is already shaking in their pants. The Yoruba people will leave Nigeria. Either we live by peace, and I'm saying it, or we live by war.
And are you ready for the latter? But anyways.
Well, let me tell you something. War is being fought on a daily basis. The Ukrainians went back to support their mission to make sure that Russia doesn't invade them and take their land. We're talking about land, Shegun. When we are talking about land, we're talking about demons. The Fulanis are demons. These are individuals that care less about every single Yoruba people. They will invade you, they will take your land, and you will become a third-class citizen. And many Nigerians are still sleeping. We're talking about the elite that think that, this is about Igboho, this is about Koiki. Look, I've just had a full breakfast from McDonald's. I mean, I love it. Many Yoruba people in 1,000 years will not be able to have a full 3 square meal. We have corrupt criminal politicians that are working with the agenda of the West. I live in the UK. The UK government knows that what we are doing is not terrorism. We're not terrorizing anybody. But what we are saying is that we will not sit back and allow people that were never part of Nigeria to now invade us. If we fail this time around, like others have done, it will be very difficult to take it back. And we cannot work together. It does not matter whether, people say, oh, we want one unity in Nigeria and all that. Look, there's nothing called the unity of Nigeria. The unity of Nigeria was never there. We are all different people. We can live side by side. Asking for self-determination is not a war. My utterances is the reason why many people disagree with this movement as well. But what I'm saying is that we got to be blunt. Freedom is not bought from Oju Elegba. You don't buy freedom. Let me take you back to a bit of history. When the UK got, I went to the Slave Museum right here in Liverpool. I cried inside because when the British came in 18th century, it took them 42 years to invade every part of Nigeria and convert it to what is called Nigeria today in 1914. They came in 1886 to Lagos Colony, as at the time. We were an empire. So what they've done is they've destroyed everything that we own and then telling us we're Nigerians. There's nothing called Nigeria, and I'm sure your great-great-grandfather were Yoruba before Nigeria. I would rather have us to have dispute as Yoruba people. The German have dispute. The Scottish people have dispute. Let me say again, may the soul of Alex Salmon rest in peace. It is only one life, Shegun. Is either you are in or out. Alex Salmon was the first minister of Scotland. I only just find out that he died because I've been so busy. I only just find out that he died on Saturday at age of 66 of heart attack in Monrovia somewhere. But while he was the first minister, he has pulled out. He is now one of the campaigner for the Scottish to have their independent country. And I can tell you that even the English are now getting tired of many of us right here. They might not do anything, but everybody has the right to self-determination. What we are doing is not against the law. Nigerians might not like it. They might be deceiving themselves because Nigerians are fake. What they love is fake. It's not about this. We're not talking about skit here. We're talking about real lives of people that are in danger. The Queen great-grandmother came to Nigeria and took us as slaves and then convert us into whatever they wanted to convert and say, oh, we got independent. Nobody got any independence. If you had, let me come in, Shegun Omini. If you had independence, you will not have Tinubu, and I'm talking about Tinubu before he became the president, and I can call him name. Come to London, to Chatham House, to come and discuss what? We had Atiku, we had Kwankwaso, we have Peter Obi. Peter Obi is an hypocrite. He went into the same number 10 Downing Street, came out and left PDP. What was spoken inside that building when it came out? So when people say, Igbo, oh, go and drop the letter at the Senate. Which Senate? Well, I'm sure maybe before Ike Perimadu comes out, Nigeria will have break up. Because right now, he's enjoying his good time in the prison here with us in UK.
Well, part of the reason many people slowed down was the election. I'm sure you also know that many Yoruba people felt like if Tinubu becomes president, it is one step forward for Yoruba people, even if you don't have Yoruba nation yet. In the event, Tinubu became president and a lot of people slowed down. I don't know what impact that had on the Yoruba nation movement, but I know that many Yoruba people said, our local, and slowed down and allowed Tinubu.
Those are not the Yoruba nation like campaigner. Look, Chego, let's get this very clear. The Yorubas
so that you can respond together.
Okay.
So that you can respond together. So, and I also understand that some of the supporters of Oloye Sunday Igboho, after his incarceration, when he was held down in exile, some of them even went to, and I think I remember, was it
Omiyale and the rest of them, the call themselves Tinubu Media.
Yes, quite a number of people felt like, yes, if you cannot even achieve your nation yet, at least it looks like what we can still do while we are in Nigeria is to support our own. And many of them went to, until eventually, maybe after a few months down the line, the precipitation of hardship caused many of them to start looking back. So a lot of Yoruba people felt like, well, if Yoruba is still president, it is still a footing forward. But for those who are looking further, would say Yoruba will therefore not be there forever. So there has to be something, which is, I think, what is bringing the advocacy up again. But then I want to ask, if there is a comfort, because part of the reason many people are asking that Nigeria divides and people go self-rule is that the coming together of the various parts in the first place was not negotiated by the local potentates. It was just a forced amalgamation, and people feel, well, if we can't even go a separate way, at least we can negotiate our union. If there is a confab by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today to bring in the Yoruba Nation agitators, to bring in the Biafra agitators, to bring in all the people who are agitating for self-rule and advocacy and their self-determination, would you consider that at least? Because I understand that they are already mouthing restructuring, return to regional governments, confab. If they ask us to renegotiate our union, would you consider that at least?
All right. A lot of you, probably maybe not you, because I know you're very well learned in the video, and I do follow you. I love you. I love your energy, and I appreciate your time. Let me say this. You've talked about four things that I'm going to quickly talk about. First and foremost, nobody's going to give you any confab. So if any Nigerians is waiting for a confab, there is nothing called confab. The lies within the media circle of Nigeria was when Fakunda came out and put out something in the media and say, oh, we want a regional government. I believe that was what he said. And there were even rumors then that was saying that they've started debating it. And I went back to review, looking for where it was being debated. Nothing of restructure can happen because as far back as 2017, Shegun, Comrade George Akinola stated at Adamasiba that it is just too late for restructuring. So if today the expectation is that Tinubu will restructure Nigeria back to give us what we had in 1960, which again was not a true independent. Because what the British did, a lot of Nigerians don't understand this. The British wanted the control of Nigeria, and they were never ready to let the Southwest or the Southeast be at the realms of their affairs. So the independence of Nigeria was between the British and the North. So nothing of the fact that say that we got independent, but again, the word independent is what is being used, and many people think, oh, October 1st, we are celebrating independence. You are not celebrating an independence. That is the first and foremost. Now, let's go back to restructure. What do you want to restructure? Under what foundation? What are you expecting to restructure? We're talking about a unity that is not there. I mean, go on the social media today as an example. You can see the backlash between all the ethnic groups. So I would rather want to visit the North on the basis that I am going to an Islamic country. Shegun, I was born as a Muslim, but right now I have gone past being a Muslim or Christian. I am a Yoruba man as a core Yoruba man. And when I say core Yoruba man, I'm sure you know what that means. So the fact remains that I still believe the Islam, but I don't believe the Islam of the North. Let's go back to, is it Rebecca? I believe she was the one that was burned to death, a couple of months or years back. These are people that are not Deborah. Thank you so much. If you're expecting me to come and live in a country where Sharia is already being operated in a country that we are meant to be one, what is the essence of that? So that means that if I want to go to Saudi Arabia from here as a non-British passport holder, I would have to get a visa. And I'll look at the criteria. When I get there with my wife, can she put on a skimpy dress that I would love to see? If they said no, that means I don't want to go there. But can I go to Italy, where we know that we can look very good, enjoy the weather? So what I'm trying to explain is that you cannot restructure anything that has never been working for the last 64 years of this country that was not a country, forced amalgam, because I'm now moving to the forced amalgamation. And it's good that I'm hearing from many of you now that are talking about amalgamation. A lot of people back home look at us as maybe people doesn't have a job, they're hungry, they want. Look, let me say something. My YouTube channel has been demonetized for the last 3 years going now. So when people talk about, oh, we are making money on the YouTube. Look, Shegun, if I want to make money on the YouTube, I know the kind of content I will put on there to make money. And I live in Europe. I know what I can do. I can convert my house with my children, and then we can. So, but the fact is that this forced amalgamation, how do we resolve it? Should we just sit back and allow criminals, politicians, like Yaya Bello, that had the infantry to steal the money from the state and pay the school fees? I mean, Shegun, these are things that makes me go nutty. How can you take out money from the government coffer and pay up front? Can I take Naira and pay to an American school in America? That you cannot do in the first place. So we know that the agenda of Nigeria is the West. And when I mean the West, is the West. Whether we talk about the breakdown of each of the West, the agenda is to keep the people together and then take your resources. Nobody knew what Sambisa. I thought Sambisa was like a deep forest until we realized that Babangida created Sambisa. So the fact remains that we have enough to feed ourselves. We have enough to take care of ourselves. Myself and Dr. Chief Sunday will travel 2 hours from Manchester to Wales. Shegun, this is a population of less than 3 million. And they're doing very well. They are still part of the UK. Now, let's take you back. When United Kingdom wants to go and compete in football, England is going. Scotland goes. The same Scotland that Mayego, my brother, is. Wales goes, and then Northern Ireland. We have 4 teams competing. But when it comes to Nigeria, as an example, you would have to go and see Babalawo or go to your church or your mosque so that you can be participating as part of the sport. So the fact is that this amalgamation is a forced amalgamation. What every Nigerian should be discussing is to de-amalgamate it. But what they are discussing now is, Igboho is working for another agenda so that the North will not be able to threaten Tinubu. Who cares if the North... Who cares if the North, threaten Tinubu or not? Who knows the agreement between them? But what we should be discussing right now is not an election again. There is no, and I love, Showore, and I'm sure Showore, you know as well, because I communicate with him behind the closed door. There is nothing any Nigerian can do to change the structure that you have now. Even if you, Shegun, you are given a position in Nigeria, even if you have the love of the people, the system would not allow you to operate.
I'll even turn it down.
Well, I mean, even if you want to. So why then are we renewing what we are doing? I didn't know this as well, but during this movement, what we are doing is that every 4 years, we are renewing this amalgamation. Whether the amalgamation is 100 years or not, who are Britain and America to tell us on our own territory that we cannot take it back from who we are before, this amalgamation? A lot of people say that. Yeah, go ahead.
And that is why people are asking. And that is why people are asking the question: why submitting letters?
That is where I'm coming. Now, the purpose of the letter that we took to the Downing Street, which has generated a great conversation, because everybody thought, oh, nothing is going to happen. Let me say this. Britain is not going to give us any country. United Nations does not give country. But the right of the Yoruba people at the appropriate time means that we can take back our country. We can take it back in a way that it will create the life of the indigenous people to be much better than the corrupt system that we have today. So when people are saying, oh, why go to the UK? Why not send to the National Assembly? I saw your comment under the letter that we sent to Tinubu. Many Nigerians do not know that we sent a letter on the 17th of April to a follow-up letter that we wrote to Buhari. Tinubu did not even acknowledge the letter. Tinubu doesn't want to accept the truth that the Yoruba people, whether it is the millions of the Yoruba people that wants to go or the few that wants to go, they are the Yorubas that are now saying that we do not want to be part of a created country by Lugard. Many of you don't even know who Lugard is. Lugard House is about a few meters away from Knightsbridge. I've been there. So when we talk about Nigeria, many people think that Nigeria is their property. Nigeria is not your property. Nigeria is a business center. And as long as there is still Nigeria, we will not be able to have our true identity. So the fact that we deliver a letter that many people wants to know the content, the letter is just to say, I'm just saying generally now, that the Yoruba people, just as we've done the letter to United Nations and the rest of other, organs around the world, that the Yoruba people do not want to have anything to do with Nigeria. And we want to exit Nigeria, but we don't want it to be bloodshed. But whether that happens or not is subject to the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some might say that it's just another agenda to keep him there for the next 8 years or 4 years. The problem is yours, not ours. But when we are ready, under the leadership of Baba Kitoye, let me state this. There is nothing that's going to come easy, but the crisis that Obasanjo, the former president, also said himself, that Nigeria is just sitting on the keg of gunpowder. It is not just me. Look, we have the Niger Delta issue that is there. We have the Biafra that is there. Maybe some of you don't even remember that we have the El Zakizaki that is there. We have many stakeholders in Nigeria, and it seems that it is important that Tinubu call everybody together, not to restructure the country, and ask, do you still want to remain one? Give a referendum, some say. But like I said, when the time comes, like the Euro will say, tí àsìkò bá tó láti lọ sí ilé ìgbẹ́ fùrọ́màlà.
Well, you made a comment in passing. You said part of the letter was to let the Prime Minister know that Yoruba people do not want to have anything to do.
I say what that I did. Don't misquote me there, because I know many people will say that I do not know what the content of the letter is. But what I'm saying is that we have been to the British embassy.
Okay,
hold on. Let me clear that because let me clear that very well.
This agitation,
the purpose of any letter. Look, the Yoruba people are tired. I have campaigned in front of number 10 Downing Street many times.
Exactly. So that is where I want to draw my question. I'm not dwelling on content of the letter now.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to take something from the comment you made in passing, that Yoruba people are tired and want to breathe. Okay, now, so
not tired. We want to take back what belongs to us. There's not tired there. We are taking what belongs to us. Nigeria doesn't belong to Nigeria. What language is Nigeria? Nigeria belongs to the indigenous people. Jonathan said the same thing. I'm sure by the time Tinubu completes his tenure, he'll be doing the same interview saying that the Yoruba people should have left. But again, when they're in power, they are not ready to release exactly the right information to the people. But go ahead.
All right, so I just want to ask, when you say Yoruba people, like, what is the statistic? Like, are you sure Yoruba people truly want? Because as it stands right now,
let's give a referendum.
Senators,
governors, those are I don't believe in all those. Those are criminals. I'm not talking about Shegun. Hold on. No. When you talk about your governors and all these, they're criminals as far as I'm concerned. I'm not. Let's go and talk to the right people and ask them if they truly wants to remain as one entity. But we must also be given the opportunity. That is where we need to understand that. Because when the Scottish people were going to decide their fate in 2014, and as the Connie English, Parliament, the English that told the Scottish people that, oh, you allow us to remain one. But in 2016, which is 2 years up the line, we will remain as part of the EU. That was a lie. Let the Parliament in UK dare give the Scottish people opportunity for another second referendum. That will be the end of the union. So if we are going to be given opportunity to campaign and go deep into areas where we need to go to without intimidation, then let them give us a referendum and let's decide whether Yoruba people wants to stay in a country that was created, because many Yoruba people today do not even understand what Nigeria means to them.
Oh yes, but I just wanted to know whether the feelers have right now, corroborates the suggestion, because another election is about to happen, for instance, in Ondo State, and people are gearing up seriously for it,
Well, I mean, look, all that should continue, because like I always say to people, we still have there's still a country called Nigeria. I still have the right to go to the Nigerian embassy, and they have the right to open the door to me, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm still a Nigerian. We don't have a country yet. So the fact that, election is going on in a state or not is not the issue. The issue is, when the people understand because you can't leave the state vacuum. So the fact is, we're not fighting for Ondo State alone. We're fighting for the whole southwest part of Nigeria. So if people are saying,
I'm just
"Oh,
using Ondo as an example that people are still going about their normal business.
oh yeah, they are," so
And
what do you expect? People need to go their normal way, but we need to continue to give them the awareness, which is exactly what we are doing. But what the government is doing is they keep blocking, access routes, and that is why we need to be grateful to somebody like Igboho. Many people thought that they would kill Igboho right in his house, July 1st, 2021. But as God makes it, Igboho is still. Look at it, 21, 22, 23, 24. 3 years down the line, Igboho dropped a letter on behalf of Baba Kitoye. The government is threatening the British High Commissioner, Dr. Richard Montigori, in Abuja. Igboho has responded that you don't need to intimidate him. This is not about intimidation. Shegun, are we in the military era? We are in a democracy. So I believe that Tinubu is a Democrat. What he needs to do, set up the team to discuss with the team of Babakitoye, not in Nigeria, right with the UN, the EU, the African Union, so that we can debate and decide if we still want to go. But when I hear the APC in the UK, the APC that is so divided, they have about 3 or 4 fractions, and I hear many commentators writing articles condemning Igboho this, Igboho that. I say to them, the time of change that can happen in our lifetime is getting closer, and many of them are getting concerned and worried. And like I've said on my broadcast many times, we are not the Afeniferis. I met Babade Banjo when I came to Nigeria in 2021. I begged him. I told him that you're an elderly man. Why not come out and say exactly what you're telling me behind the closed door? But they don't want to. I'll leave that for now. I saw many other elderly people. Most of them are scared for their life. Are we scared for our life? Is only one life, and we will live long enough to witness a Yoruba country that would happen. And if anybody says, "Oh, it's not going to happen," it's a social media. I'm not here to make anything more than the fact that the Yoruba people are determined, and we will exit Nigeria either by peace or by pieces.
Thank you so much. I know it will be a continuous conversation because we can't end it all at once. The activities are still.
I'm ready to take questions from your. I don't know whether questions are coming. If you have 1 or 2, I'll take 3 or 4. I still have about 10 minutes with you.
Let me just push one more for now, and then we close it for now, and then we'll still come back later. Last one for now is that we see that there are activities now, UK in diaspora, Nigerians are organizing, Yoruba people are organizing. But prior now, you know that there used to be rallies and activities in Nigeria, especially the Southwest and all that. So now that the advocacy is beginning to raise interest again and garner interest again, will there be activities in Nigeria, especially now that Tinubu is president, so that people know that it doesn't matter that it is Tinubu that is president? Or is it that after Tinubu leaves, rallies will now resume again in the Southwest so that people will not say, "Hey, you waited until your brother left and now you are resuming activities"? Will there be activity? Are we expecting activities?
I love when people always come out and say, "Oh, Tinubu, is going to go, then we will come back and then we will start our activities, we will start our Yoruba Nation awareness and blah blah blah." Do you know that there was a awareness campaign in Ijebu on Saturday, the same day we were having the rally in London? There were. So did you know that 3 weeks ago, back to back, in the same Alimosho local government, we had not rally, but awareness campaign? I'm sure you probably don't know. The question is, there has never been any time that there was never any kind of engagement on the ground. What people wanted to see was that big rally, in Ekiti, in Ondo State, that was attended by, millions of, Yoruba people that were tired of this contraction, that has never worked from day one, because the British, I live in UK, so I can tell you that the British never wanted Nigeria to work. As far as we know that, and Nigeria is still an entity to Britain. So when people say, oh, why bring a letter to you? Look, they created Nigeria. Whether they want to allow Nigeria to dissolve or not is their own problem. But what we are doing is under the UN Charter. Rally will continue, regardless of whether not you, the perspectives of the people that, until Tinubu leaves office. Tinubu have 2 years to leave for the first tenure. People say, Igboho is already pushing so that the agenda of Tinubu for 2027. Babaki Toye decide at the appropriate time when the rally will go. But if you go and listen to Igboho when he spoke before we went into Downing Street, which was a fantastic, outing, like I said to you, in the history, Igboho said himself that, rally will kick back start when I will not be able to tell you right now, but we know that the rally in Nigeria will start. But the concern is Nigeria prepared, for the others? And when I mean the others, the others that are also, agitating. We are not secessionists, because I've seen a lot of Nigerian media, use the word secessionist. We're not secessionists, we're self-determination. But one thing I wanted to take note, and your listeners, is that in the history of this country, even for the 25 years I've lived here, they've never shut down the whole major high street. And we were able to do so, on Saturday the 12th. Not only that, we were also delivered, something that many people just want to know what is inside. And like I said, whatever the Nigerian government is saying that, that petition, that letter, is of no relevance, is of no use. Well, when the time of use or don't use happen, I'm sure you'll probably come back and say, you said it on my program. But one thing is, no one should intimidate the Yoruba people that wants to go. A lot of people are scared because we have, a system that is so corrupt, and we know what they can do and what they can't do. Igboho has a very good life with his children and wives, in where he lives. So Igboho is not fighting for himself. He's fighting, for the generation of today and the generation of tomorrow. Will all Yoruba people agree? Well, not everybody agreed, but one thing is, it is better that we have our true identity, which is Yoruba, than have the fake identity. Like I said, Nigeria is still existing. A lot of us are still have our Nigerian passport. That does not mean that you cannot have engagement with the Nigerian community. I do have a lot of engagement, with the Nigerian community. On Friday, while we were having the dinner for Igboho, I met with the former chairman of the Central Association of Nigerians in the UK. I am still working with them, but not working as I was doing before some 10 years ago. But what I'm saying is that there is nothing stopping us from having our own independent country, but it's just that many Yoruba people are worried, some even think that when we say we want our country, you will take down your house, you will remove it. These are the reason why awareness continue all the time. But again, I'll take 2 more questions, because like I said to you, I can only stay here for 1 hour because I have other engagement as well. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, somebody has a comment for you. Dada Mark on YouTube. He says that Chief Igboho is supposed to be in Nigeria, protecting our forests, but is somewhere in London speaking grammar.
Is Igboho your governor? Tell the person that is Igboho the governor. Do you know that your governor are collecting, security votes? Where is your president? Tinubu is in somewhere in Paris. And I'm speaking not on you saying this. I'm saying that Tinubu is very ill. He's in France right now. He ran away from London. Shetima is in Sweden. You are now on autopilot. Nobody's controlling as we speak right now. So when people say Igboho should be in the forest, hold on. Let me complete that. Why not tell that individual to bring his brother or his dad to go to the forest and take care of the issue in the forest?
Well, the person is trying to compare with what
the person doesn't need to compare. Igboho is not a security man. Igboho is not the one in charge of the fund coming into each of the state. All these governors that are criminals that should be using the fund to take care and make sure that they can protect the forest. You don't need Igboho to be in the forest. Igboho is good where he is right now.
Okay, so let me ask just one last question for now. I'm sorry I said last question already twice. This is just the last follow-up. So you saw some of the things the Biafra agitators are doing when they say they are putting up security network, trying to protect their land, forest, and all that. And I think it is in the background, that this person is asking the question, why not Sunday?
It's two different movements. I mean, the Biafra, I have a cordial relationship with Simon Ekpa. I've said it all the time. They're doing very well, and I'm grateful that they're pushing as much as they need to, because Nnamdi Kanu that was kidnapped by Yemi Osinbajo and Buhari, and many Nigerians think that that is a good thing, that, you can extradite somebody. Buhari tried to do the same thing in 1980 when he wanted to kidnap Umaru Diko. What we need to explain to Nigerians is that right now, Igboho and Simon Ekpa movement is two different movements, but same agenda. The Biafra wants to have their country. They have the right to have their country, just like Igboho also have the right to have his own country called Yoruba Nation.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Jimeto Matthew used to be on Facebook. I don't know. Did you cross Jimeto to YouTube? He asked me to greet you that you're doing well. He has
greetings to everyone. Thank you so much.
He's complimenting. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody who joined, and thank you so much, Mr. Olayomi.
Let me appreciate you, Shegun. I know you probably won't expect this. Shegun and myself, we've been good friends, for a very long time, just like many other, media in Nigeria. And for him to bring us on his platform, we got to be very grateful, because I would have loved to be on all the platforms as well. But what I keep saying is that, Mr. Koiki, we can't, because, that area is still very, very great and all that. But Shegun, you're also making an history. Whether you're Yoruba man or not, issue, whether you're believed to what I'm doing or not. But one thing is, history will remember you for what you're doing as well. And one thing is, just keep it going. And I hope they fix that road that you were trying to show me the other day.
You know that even if I don't agree with everything for now, at least one thing that we have in common in agreement is that we are first Yorubas before we are Nigerians. Even if we want to see Nigeria prosper, we want to see Nigeria do well, we can only try our best. If it doesn't work, it's only okay that everybody just Yorubas will say Olomo Gbomu, yeah, right? So but it's okay. Thank you so much for your time once again. Ongoing conversation will come back again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye for now. It's a beat.
Thank you. Well, let's give kudos to Shegun, because many let me read your comment. Bomb bastard. Moki Bishop Adesina, Moki Bugwayamo Yoruba Jare. So I just have to grant him that interview. He's been trying to get hold of me for a couple of days now. So we need to get it out of the way. So I'm happy that we've done that. So like I said, we're still resting and we still have a lot of work to do. My name is OLAYOMI Koiki. Have a very good afternoon and bye for now.